So we are now in West Texas, getting relatively close to the New Mexico border. Well, who am I kidding? We're still probably about 4 or 5 hours from the New Mexico border. Texas is massive. But we are in the desert. We're kind of back to similar feeling landscape to what we're used to in New Mexico. We did actually have a really nice time crossing Texas as well. Spent a couple of days with some of my good friends in San Antonio. Then we went over to Corpus Christi and actually hung out by the beach for a little while. And I'm going to cut back to some of the footage that I took then because we experienced probably one of the windiest nights that we have ever felt inside of a camper. It was pretty gnarly. What's this guy doing? Of course, all that wind led to there being a pretty fun wind swell in the water. I actually got to surf for a couple of days in Texas. One of the days it was really, really good. I think a lot of folks don't even know that you can surf in Texas, but this time of year it could get to be a lot of fun. So feeling very grateful that I got to get in the water there. Then we headed back to San Antonio, spent a few more days with my friends there, and now we're finally out west. That might look kind of bad, 92 degrees Fahrenheit in here, but it's actually relatively comfortable. We're now in the land of super low humidity, so it's pretty manageable. How's the outdoor office treating you?
It's been actually really pleasant. The last couple of minutes, though, the sun started to dip, and now my leggies are getting a little bit burned, and my computer's starting to overheat a little bit in the sun. So I'll probably pack it up real soon. This has been another interesting spot. Been finding a lot of interesting spots recently, it seems. It's very quiet, almost kind of run down a little bit. Everything's kind of looks like it's been here for a long time, and there's one other family that stayed just on the other side of us, just tent camped for the night, but otherwise there's no one else out here. It's really pretty. The lake is beautiful, and there's a lot of history apparently with this lake. I was looking it up on Wikipedia this morning. Like, apparently Native Americans used this as a water source for many, many years, and then they dammed it in the early 1900s, and now it's been this reservoir to provide irrigation water and everything else for the area since then. It's also used for recreational purposes, fully stocked with all sorts of different kinds of fish and everything like that for fishing. I'm not really sure if something happened here at some point in the past. Seems like a lot of the shrubbery on the lakefront is burnt, like it was on fire at one point, or maybe there was a flood event or something here, because we were walking, in that direction. There are actually bathrooms over there. There's flush bathrooms, which is kind of nice, flush toilets and everything like that. But as we were walking, we noticed there's a whole bunch of little cabins and trailers that are really run down. Look like they've been there since the 70s, maybe many, many years. And
Doesn't look like anyone's there. Maybe they're just little vacation rentals or whatever, but some of them are definitely abandoned, and not really sure what's happened here over the years. I'm sure there's definitely a history and there's definitely a story behind it all. And I will add that this is not a free camping area. It's $10 a night for these tent sites like this, but then on top of that you also have to pay $14 a person for a permit to access the area. I'm not sure if that's an annual permit or not. Needless to say, one night here is pretty expensive. It was not cheap. They actually have RV sites as well, which we did pay for because it was basically the same price. So if we need to plug in before we get out of here, we can definitely do that. We kind of didn't look up the pricing before we came out here, thinking that it would be a little more affordable, and by the time we got here, we didn't really have much of an option to go anywhere else. So it is what it is. We just kind of had to bite the bullet and make the most of it, but not a bad spot. Quiet night's rest, and I kind of needed that. Shannon was pretty sick last week. She had some kind of virus where she was getting fevers and chills for quite a few days when we were over by the beach in Corpus Christi. And it seems that I have come down with whatever she had last week, because last night I had quite the fever going to sleep, chills all night. I feel a little bit better this morning, a little bit more energetic. I was able to actually eat some breakfast this morning and stuff, but it was kind of a rough night. It was nice to have a quiet place to sleep and somewhere that was pretty comfortable. After some 7 years of living this way, that is still the most challenging part. Being sick inside the van, inside the camper, overnight like that, definitely the hardest part of van life, in my opinion. These are actually the RV sites here all along this back section. We chose to kind of skip them though and just take one of the tent sites instead, just because it's a nicer view, closer to the water. These are kind of set back, and like half of them have fire rings like right where you're supposed to park them. Not really sure what's going on with this campground. Like weather-wise, it's pretty decent weather, so it's surprising that there's not a single person here.
So we made it to Van Horn, Texas. We're staying at this cute little historic hotel that was built in the 1930s called El Capitan Hotel.
It's a pretty quiet, sleepy little town. I've come through here before, I think in my NV200 many years ago when I was on my way west, and it's just kind of exactly on the way to where we're going. I normally wouldn't do a hotel. The reason is that my sickness that I was talking about earlier came back in full force this afternoon. I had a pretty gnarly fever for a little while, was not feeling good, so I decided to try the hotel for the night, just get a good night's rest and stay hydrated, and hopefully I'll get over it in a couple of days, because our plan is to go to Carlsbad Caverns National Park, and there's another one too. What's the other?
Guadalupe Mountains. I'd like to do a couple hikes there on our way to Carlsbad.
Shannon has been to Carlsbad Caverns before, a couple of times, right? But I've never been, so I am so excited about that. I'm hoping that I can get over this sickness thing and we'll be back to full health and be able to go really explore there. I will say the plan for videos moving forward, I know I titled this one The End of Truck Camper Life, and that's just because we're not really going to be doing a lot of truck camper style vlogs at this point. This is probably the last one. We'll be making our way into New Mexico, and then from there, pretty quickly settling back into that off-grid life. So we'll have some off-grid content and stuff, living off-grid on that land and trying to continue to develop it. We have plenty of projects that await us out there, all sorts of issues. We'll get into that in a future video, I'm sure. But looking forward to getting back to the Land of Enchantment and being able to spend some time there. I will definitely try to bring the camera out to Carlsbad Caverns and the other national parks and share some of that with you guys, but just the goal for future videos moving forward is, I think, going to transition a little bit away from the vlogs and more into the off-grid stuff. I have some other ideas as well, some short films and things like that I really want to put together and spend some time working on, so we'll change a little bit. I just had to run down to the truck to grab a couple of things. I think I'm going to head back up to the room though and maybe lay down again. I'm starting to not feel great at this point, so hopefully, like I said, I'll get a little bit better and we'll be able to move on from here. I can't thank you all enough for watching and for following along on this journey. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.